Fossil watches. Well, I have one here today. The first watch that I bought when I was 16 years old back in 1994. We're going to see if we can fire this one back up by not only changing one battery, but both the batteries required to get this watch operating. And we're going to see today whether or not a Fossil watch can withstand the test of time and if it's worth the price of admission for this fashion watch on this episode of
Time. Kind of one.
Fossil watches. Yes, today we're going to talk about the first watch that I paid for 27 years ago in 1994 when the Fossil group was actually about 10 years in business. I don't typically talk about Fossil. As you saw in my last video, I'll put that card up here. I talk about fashion watches, and Fossil falls under fashion watches. Now, Fossil is an American brand. It was founded in 1984 in Richardson, Texas by Tom Kartastis. Fossil is actually not only known for their watches, but they do belts, wallets, handbags. Now, the Fossil group also owns Relic, Michelle Watch, Skagen, and also Zodiac, which I actually didn't know that. I actually thought that Zodiac was considered a micro brand, so Fossil does own them. Fossil is also known for licensing goods for brands such as BMW, Puma, Imperial, Armani, Michael Kors, Kate Spade, and DKNY. And for all you stock trader investment guys out there like myself, Fossil does trade on the New York Stock Exchange under FOSL. Currently, they're at $10.29. This company does produce about $2 billion a year. So just a little history there. This is actually my first watch that I did purchase back in 1994, and I was 16 years old, and I just remember taking a look at it and I was like, wow, this is a cool watch, and I've had it ever since. So today we're gonna see if we can get this baby fired up and see what it looks like. Does a Fossil watch last 27 years? We'll find out today on Average Joe Watch Reviews. All right, so as you can see, we fired up the 30-year-old Fossil Big Tick. 2 batteries later, and the thing is still working. It's keeping time. The watch doesn't look like a 30-year-old watch. I mean, you can argue, yeah, maybe it's design elements, sure, but I'm talking about the condition of the watch. You know, it's been worn over the 30 years. I don't want to say it's been worn daily, but I mean, you know, the thing has held up pretty good. I mean, and the fact that it still works after 30 years is pretty impressive, especially considering the hard time I gave it and a hard time a lot of people give fashion watches. And, you know, I know the big question is, you know, do fashion watches last a long time? Well, I would say a majority of them don't, because they use inferior movements, inferior parts and metals and whatnot. This watch here, I think, is the exception. Yeah, it uses mineral crystal, but it held up. The watch itself, the integrity of it is still looks good. And this is going to stay in my collection for a lifetime, because it's one of the first watches that I purchased, and also the only watch that I have in my collection from my youth. So that's pretty cool in and of itself. So I'd like to hear your guys' opinions down below on Fossil and what you guys think of Fossil today. Have you ever owned a Fossil? What's your experience of Fossil? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts down below. That's my 2 cents. You guys can keep the change, and always remember that there's always time to be kind to one another. Please take care of each other, and I'll see you guys next time on Average Joe Watch Reviews. God bless, my friends.